It takes a lot of practice before you start, hitting the ramp at 60, 70 miles an hour.
How did it feel?
Thrilling. I loved it. Like I said, I somehow miraculously landed my first jump, and I was hooked. It's like, wow, this is cool. I want to do lots of this.
Dynamite Mike, podcast that you like.
We're live, everybody. We got Ken. Tell the world about you.
Wow. Well, highlights. I opened up for Elton John with a band in Portland in 2006. I was an elected politician 4 times to 4-year terms. Spent 23 years traveling around the Northwest performing water ski shows with Portland Water Spectacular. I'm an actor. Been taking lessons from Coach Rick at Mystery Ridge Movie Ranch in Coeur d'Alene for 5.5 years. Done a lot of cool things in my life. And then other times I had to work for a living.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah. So I appreciate being with Data Mining Mike, former Marine, because my youngest son was career Marine Corps.
Yep.
Made it to Lieutenant Colonel at age 39, but there wasn't any opening, so they had to wait a couple years. 2 sons. Both were military. Both doing really well for themselves. Couldn't be more proud of them. Awesome boys. These days I'm hanging out at Mystery Ridge Movie Ranch, helping to build some permanent sets. Had to tear apart some old outdoor cowboy town sets that unfortunately blew down in a couple of windstorms over the winter. So it's going to come back bigger and better at Movie Ranch.
Yeah, Mystery Ridge.
Mystery Ridge. The late, great Jerry Bucksbaum, SAG-AFTRA stuntman and special effects coordinator. I met him in late 1986. Wanted to go over his water ski jump ramp after I had taken lessons, and he was the only one that had a jump ramp around the Portland area at that time that I was aware of, so we hooked up. The next winter, he called me up and said, hey, you want to be a show skier? And that started my 23-year career traveling around putting on water ski shows and, of course, distance jumping. I got real lucky a couple of years in a row. I was the second place long distance jumper in the Oregon and Idaho state championships 2 years in a row. Now I just build movie sets, act when I can, and sing karaoke when I can.
That's a lot to unpack. That is awesome. What a great life you've lived. So let's. So before you were running for politics, what were you doing?
I was in industrial hydraulics. I did a lot of fabrication work at first, and then I worked in the machine shop for several years, building integrated circuits, different control valves mounted inside aluminum and iron blocks that control different functions of many different things. We started out in the lumber business. I actually spent a month living at the Coeur d'Alene Inn and going up to Chilco and welding on pipes on a log deck and installing huge power units that we built for them. So that was my first taste of Idaho. And then I moved back here when I retired in late 2020. That was one career. I built big trucks for power companies, the big aerial devices that go up and work on power lines. I built car wash equipment. I managed car washes. I installed car washes, the big full automatic ones, much bigger than what you see around town today. But a lot of different careers, jerk of all trades, couldn't figure out what I wanted to do when I grow up. And so I just didn't grow up. I just grew old instead.
Jack of all trades, master of none is still a lot better than a master of one.
I've been very fortunate. A lot of cool things just popped up in my face and worked out.
Okay, that is a lot to unpack. Even more as you keep unpacking, you keep unpacking more. So let's go back to politics.
Okay.
How did you get into politics?
Well, it was kind of interesting. Just another one of those things I stumbled on. I just happened to be glancing through a newspaper in Gresham, Oregon at the time, and saw that a city councilor had resigned in Fairview, where I was living. And the very last line said, if anybody's interested in applying for an interim position until the next election, contact City Hall. And I thought, oh, what the heck? Let's just check this out. 3 other people applied, and nobody else showed up. So they interviewed me and decided they would accept me. And that was in June of whatever year it was. And 96, I believe, 97, somewhere in there. So I had to run in the next election, and I won. And 3 more 4-year terms after that, I got reelected. Kind of interesting. Your friends and associates change from everybody you hung out with and shot pool with or drank beer with or whatever, turned into mayors and city councilors and county commissioners and police chiefs and people of that nature. Just totally changed all of my associates.
Yeah, isn't it interesting?
It is. I tried to bring a perspective of working for the people. Mm-hmm. A lot of city councilors tend to rubber stamp whatever staff brings before them, and I would challenge everything. I got a reputation with the local newspaper of being a maverick because I would scold the other councilors and say, we're here to represent the people, not rubber stamp what staff brings to us, and I don't like this tax hike, and we don't need that, and what about the small businessmen in our city? What about the residents that live here, and how's that going to impact them? And that's who we need to be watching out for, because they are the ones who voted us up here. So I got called a maverick.
Well, how did you like it, being city council?
I really enjoyed it. It was a great opportunity to help shape things for the betterment of the people. Although I was never on the Parks Committee, I was very instrumental in assisting in completely revamping one of the city parks that had their playground equipment fall apart. And a resident had approached me when I was actually pounding a campaign sign in the ground on an empty lot. And he said, hey, what's going on with our park and our playground equipment? And I said, I don't know, but let me check into it. And so I went to bat for that park, and we ended up getting some top-notch playground equipment for the kids and really cleaning the park up. Things like that is what I liked about it, was being able to be in touch with the people and actually do good things for the people, the things that they expect their local government to do for them. So very enjoyable.
Yeah, and you kept winning as an incumbent.
Amazing. People kept voting for me.
Well, what did you do to campaign? Just put your name on the ballot?
I would go door to door with
you.
little brochures and hand them out and post signs all over town. So it's a lot of walking. Your legs pretty much wear out every day during campaign season. And, of course, there's always things like the League of Women Voters and other organizations that want to do debates and interviews. And so a lot of that goes on during campaign season as well. A lot of TV lights in your face all the time.
Yeah, and that's kind of fascinating, because I dabble in that world too, because I help out the GOP locally, and I do a lot of data for them, and I help out campaigns. And I've started to notice things. Maybe it's kind of superficial, but I think it's kind of the candidates that are really fat don't actually go and door knock. But the candidates that are not fat, that go and door knock, win. I know, I'm blaming fat people right now.
You are so politically incorrect. I like you.
I know. Well, I've been blaming some fat candidates lately because I've put a lot of backing in them and they've lost. So yeah, and that's my baseline. That's how crude I'm getting to. Like but that's the thing. The voters are like that too.
Yeah.
The voters are like that.
I think one year I won against a guy who ran against me just because he was looking older and he was bald. And I saw some people glancing through the voter's guide, and they saw his picture next to mine on the opposite page. And they said, ew, I wouldn't vote for that guy. just because he was older and bald.
Mm-hmm.
So,
They'll people not vote for others just based on name?
yep. Oh, I saw his campaign signs all over town. I'm voting for him.
Or, and that's something I question too. Like, what is the efficiency of those campaign signs? How
It's
efficient is it to spam the roads and bridges when it comes down to when I get the ballot? Because I'm a high propensity voter. When I get that ballot and I open it up and I go down to and there's some names I know, and then there's ones I don't, and I'm reduced to what name do I like better? Like, oh, I knew a Susan in school. She was a bitch. I'm not gonna vote for her. Or I knew a somebody Blake. I knew the Blakes. They were good people, or whatever, right? You know, you reduce people down to these certain things without looking at them just to fill out your ballot.
That's kind of sad, actually. I'm the opposite. I will read every detail of what they stated in their paragraph or two that they get to put in the campaign brochures or booklets that the county sends out, and I detail that. And I'm kind of that way. I tend to dig pretty deep and see what's really going on, what they're really saying, and does that align with what I like. So I do more of that. But it's shocking to me how many people do reduce it to name recognition or, oh, I like the look of that lady, that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It happens. It's out there.
So what would inspire you to get back into politics again?
Nothing.
What would you do? Nothing?
Absolutely nothing. I've had my share.
You've had your share, no more?
Yeah. My first acting coach in Portland when I was down there in 2011, 2012, 2013, said in front of the whole class one day, he didn't know anything about me. And he said, Ken doesn't know it, but he's going to be a senator one of these days.
That's what I was thinking.
And I was like, I do not like what's going on with our government these days at all. And for one person to try to fight the machine is nearly impossible.
No, it doesn't seem like you can fight the machine. And there's a lot of, well, you even live in Idaho. It's a totally different beast. In Washington, it's a very defeatist attitude here, especially the Republicans. But whatever. So city council's in the past. You moved on. After city council, then what?
Oh, professionally or for fun?
Both.
Well, I resigned in my fourth term to move to the Bellevue area.
That's a pretty place. That's where I want to live.
Learned another career, selling mattresses, adjustable bases. Learned a lot about sleep health and sleep comfort. Did that for 7 years before I retired completely from that type of work and moved back here.
7 years.
Just enough to pad my Social Security to get a nice check.
Nice.
So that worked out.
Well, I would love to live in Bellevue this time of year. There's no smoke.
A lot of money in that neighborhood.
Yeah, that's where
boy.
all the money is, man. Everything is just so, it's double what it is, double the income, double the cost of living than Spokane or North Idaho. And I think Coeur d'Alene is more expensive than
Some of the restaurants here are a little even more expensive than the Bellevue area, which is surprising. But every other car on the road over there is something exotic, and an exotic import car dealership every 2-3 blocks going down some neighborhoods. Lots of money over there. It's the Tesla capital of the world. There's more Teslas than anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
For a while when I was there, Seattle had the #1 economy in the nation and obviously the world because of that. And there's so many major corporations there. And for most of the time that I was there, those 7 years, I belonged to the Columbia Tower Club, which is tallest building in the Northwest, tallest building downtown Seattle, and they had the top 2 floors of that. And the people that you would meet there, even just overhearing a lunch conversation. 2 or 3 people would be starting up a company that a year later was an international hit, and they become multimillionaires instantly. That kind of stuff happens there over lunch meetings every day. So much money there, and so many powerful minds that just went after it and succeeded. It's crazy there.
I wonder how much has changed.
I don't know. But I was glad to get out of there right when I did, because it was right about the time that the Chaz Chop situation was going on, and taking over the
Taking
police
over all that
station and
crap.
burning stuff up. It got pretty crazy, so I was glad to get out of there.
Yeah, have you seen the mayor of Seattle?
Not lately.
She has a 5-finger forehead, which at least a 4.
And
Her forehead. Yeah, that's the joke about her. She's got this massive freaking forehead.
when I was a kid, 4 fingers was how big your bag of weed was.
Yeah, that'd be a good bag of weed.
But those days are past. Old man now. So,
Where is the world going with acting? Where do you think that's going? With all these studios dying, and I guess that's a good question. Where do you see the world of the studio? Where do you see the world of the actor?
Great question. And there's obviously some huge changes. Hollywood is in the process of falling apart. And when you see companies like Disney that just keep pushing politically correct garbage after garbage after garbage, and they wonder why it's going downhill. I just read some articles recently. They say that 30% of the people that are in the movie business are in the process of leaving or have left already. Editors are out of work. AI is taking over. And it has just been so unfamily friendly for so many decades. There's so much corruption, and you hear about the casting couch and all the crazy things that are going on, and adrenochrome and child sacrifices and just insane stuff that nobody would even believe unless they were in the middle of it. And
You wouldn't believe it until other people came out and confirmed it.
Yeah. And
You wouldn't believe it. You'd think it was just some ludicrous shit.
so a lot of that going on, and it's all being covered up and hidden and never talked about. But I think the shift is going to be good, because people want to see family-friendly, funny, wholesome movies and TV shows, and we've gone away from that. And I grew up watching Mr. Ed and Ozzie and Harriet and Leave It to Beaver and stuff like that, and it's been gone for so long. We just get programmed with this mind garbage. And so everybody that I'm associated with here in the Coeur d'Alene area and Spokane, we want wholesome family values, entertainment that you can sit down in the evening with your kids, get them off of the computer games, sit down in the couch and have a family fun evening laughing at some quality entertainment that's wholesome. And, that's where we want to go. So I'm glad to see Hollywood burning. Mm-hmm. It's long overdue. A couple years ago, I produced a real short commercial for an organization called Safe Passage that is a temporary shelter and assistance for battered women. And I enjoyed that. And Jerry, and before he passed away, and Amanda at Mystery Ridge helped, and a local actress volunteered. So I was prepared to pay everybody, and nobody wanted any money for that kind of stuff. And so I got the idea of coming up with an episodic series where maybe 25, 28-minute show features rescued sex trafficked girls and their stories. I've got the people together.
That'd be pretty powerful. You got people?
Yeah. I've got everything except true stories. Oh. I've contacted lots of organizations, and nobody even calls me back. I don't understand it. I don't want to use real names. Obviously, would use actresses to portray these victims. Nobody will get back to me. So I guess if I want this to succeed, I'm going to have to come up with writers that can create fake stories. And I really didn't want to do that. I want the truth. But I've got people on board. that want to be involved in that. Just need the stories. So if anybody's got some stories, know some people that would be willing, I'm willing to pay for stories that can be turned into movie scripts or half-hour TV shows.
Yeah, maybe the police department.
That's a possibility.
Yeah.
Still need to get victims to be able to talk, and for a lot of them it's painful,
I
or
would
they
imagine.
want
Shit,
their
I wouldn't
security.
want to talk about that.
Oh, so I want to protect everybody that is willing to come forward with a story as much as possible, and no way I would let any real name or real photos out. But I want to do that. That's a goal, and got everything ready to go. Just need some true stories.
Yeah. So and I hope you get some. I bet there's no shortage of them. In fact, seems like that's a big thing, is the human trafficking, especially women. They really like that. They like those stories. People are naturally drawn to it because that's the monster that lurks outside the borders of reality. And that monster is real. So that's what people are aware of. So when it comes to the new world of Hollywood, is Hollywood dying, which I think it is. I think it's beyond dead. Where are actors going to be? How are the actors going to get jobs? What do they do?
It's pretty tough right now. There's not a lot going on. A lot of the studios are empty.
Yeah, they are. They're empty.
There's just nothing going on. So, yeah, everybody's, the population of California is leaving, and especially that industry. Movie sets that had 4, 5, 6 buildings with productions going on constantly are empty. There's just nothing happening. Very little.
Yeah, Mel Gibson was saying on the podcast that, not mine, obviously. I wish.
You didn't interview Mel?
No, I didn't interview Mel.
I'll put in a good word for you. Me and Mel are like this, right?
His agent, there's issues. But, he was saying that it was easier and cheaper for him to fly the entire cast and crew to, Bulgaria.
Yep.
To film than it was to film in LA. And because of the permitting and how restrictive and expensive it was. So, screw California. They got what's coming through them.
They made their own bed. Yeah, I just heard that, I think, from Coach Rick Thursday night. Yeah.
So when you're riding on the back of did you slalom or did you do double skis?
Very little slalom skiing, because everybody does that, or used to anyway, before wakeboards took over and wake surfing. Most everything I did was on some sort of doubles from the pyramids that we built. You've got massive, oversized, 6-foot long and 10-inch wide skis, so they can support the weight of 2 or 3 layers of girls being up above you.
Yeah, that's some crazy shit. Okay, who does that anymore?
Everybody does.
You need to talk about that. Okay, good. Talk about that industry. Talk about this world, because I know nothing about the world of water skiing other than I used to do it.
Okay.
It only doubles, and then a few times I figured out how to drop and do the one. But yeah.
Okay. Well, I started out slalom skiing like everybody else. You start out on combos and you learn to get rid of one and slalom ski. And I ran out of friends that wanted to ski as much as me. So I started teaching people to ski just so I could use them for a boat driver for me. And decided way back in 1986, I wanted to learn more. I wanted to learn to go through a slalom course. So I went to a water ski school and learned to get through the course. I tried trick skiing, I tried barefooting, and I tried jumping. I have no idea how I did it, but somehow I landed my very first jump off of a ramp and skied away, and I was hooked. Flying through the air like that with nothing underneath you was the greatest feeling I had experienced up to that point.
When you hit the ground, was there a drag and then a pull? Or was it consistent?
You smacked pretty hard. Yeah, you got to hang on, that's for sure. But yeah, you you slap the water pretty hard when you come down, and sometimes it'll crush you if you're not in the right position. You end up sitting down on the back of your skis. Anyway, like I said earlier, when I got back to Portland, the only jump ramp around was Jerry Bucksbaum's Dock Start Water Ski School. So I hooked up with him, and he got me into show skiing, and I started in the spring of 1987. We would start early in the year, late March, early April, working on what we call dry land practices. We'd be inside a gym, or we'd be outside with mats, wrestling mats under us, and we'd learn to build pyramids, teach the girls to climb, and have spotters in case anybody fell. Then we'd start doing shows. Typically our first show would be like Father's Day weekend in a little town right beside I-5 in Washington called Woodland. Horseshoe Lake had a nice little beach. That was one of our favorite places to do shows. Different cities, towns that were near water that had summer festivals would hire us. And so we did a lot of different things. What we call adagio doubles, where you're attached to the rope with a harness around your waist, and you have both hands free then, and you're doing acrobatics with girls up above your head. And of course, jumping. We did some tricks we called around the boats.
Well, hold on. How do you start off with a rope around your waist? Do you just kind of lean back?
It's
lean back from the dock?
Yeah, about a 5 or 6 inch wide belt that's got a quick release on the front of it, and the rope is attached to that. And then in the boat, you've got another quick release, and you have somebody that's hanging on to that at all times, watching you 100% of the time. If anything happens, they pull that release in the boat, which breaks you loose so you don't get dragged. So that strap holds you in. It's got a little handle out in front. So when you're sitting on the edge of the dock, you'll start off with a girl on your shoulders, and rope comes tight, boat goes out, pulls you tight, and you just stand up hanging onto the handle. And as soon as you're up and stable, you let go of that handle and you start doing the acrobatic moves with the gal.
That must be a really unique experience.
That's kind of fun. You know, the first time or two, you're a little freaked out about, am I going to fall down? You know, taking a 120-pound girl on your shoulders and not being able to be free to pull the release yourself. But a couple of times, you know, you catch on and you realize that, yeah, I'm safe. And if I do fall, the guy in the ropes or in the boat's going to pull the rope, trick release there. So you catch on quick.
What if they were like, Ken, you're going with Miss Piggy?
I like Miss Piggy.
You can hold her up?
No, we used to have one gal that was slender when she first joined the team, and she put on a few pounds, but she was maybe 140. She was very, very good at show skiing, and she would, when we're sitting on the edge of the dock getting ready to go, she would come up behind you, go to sit down on your shoulders, and she'd say, "Okay, cow pig boarding."
Well, at least she's funny about it.
But she was such a good skier, and she was so tight and knew what she was doing that we didn't care. It didn't matter. I would rather take a 140-pound girl off of the dock on my shoulders that knew what she was doing than a 100-pound limp noodle that's falling all over the place. They're the ones that cause the trouble.
Like dancing, right?
Got to know what you're doing.
I guess like dancing.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Oh, okay, that makes sense.
So even though she called herself a cow pig, we didn't buy that line because she was one of the best.
So she had the balance and she knew where to stand correctly to.
Yes.
So talk about what's the highest stack of women you've gone on?
4.
4 high.
Yeah. And
that's a shit ton.
Yeah, it's a lot of weight.
How do you start that?
Well, girls are all sitting on guys' shoulders, and
were girls sitting on top of other girls' shoulders on top of other girls?
No, you have enough guys spread out that everybody's got one girl on their shoulders, and then after we get pulled off the dock.
So how many guys is this minimum with girls pairs?
Well, the very minimum would be
3.
For 4 high, you would need a minimum of, I don't know. I need a picture in front of me.
I guess 8?
It wouldn't have to be that many, 5 or 6, because you're going to, so you have 3, 2, 1, so 6 guys would make a small 4-tier pyramid.
sucks. Like, you need 4 guys for 8.
And 1997, we went back as a team to Wisconsin, which is the water ski capital, show ski capital of the world. We competed in the nationals, and we put up a 4-tier pyramid with 1 4-tier pyramid in the middle, and then 2 3-tier pyramids on each side of it, or 1 on each side.
So Jerry, that's another thing I noticed about Jerry that I didn't know about him until I went to his funeral, and I'm glad you're bringing this up, is that he was this water skiing guru.
He certainly was.
And
yes.
he knew how to create this.
He was the best ever at promoting our team to different cities and getting the highest amount of money to contract for doing 3 or 4 shows on a weekend to anybody. All the years that I spent doing that, he was the best at promoting. He started the team that I was on, Portland Water Spectacular. They split from a first team that was in the area called Rose City Water Skiers. And then he started a 3rd team called Stars on Water. So it was in his blood. And I think there's still boxes of ropes for show ski acts at Mystery Ridge and some leftover skis from the last team that he had, Stars on Water. Yeah. Like I said, he had the only jump ramp in the Portland area that I knew of at the time. Come to find out later, there was half a dozen man-made lakes with slalom courses, and some of them had jump ramps. But Jerry got me into the show ski world. He was a guru at it, definitely. And after I moved here, and I did not know he was here. Last time I saw him was on a movie set in Portland back in 2012 or 2013. And I move up here, and all of a sudden he's like, well, where are you? And I'm like, I'm in Hayden. Oh my God, I'm in Coeur d'Alene. I got a movie ranch. You got to come over. And so I went over. We had a Christmas party, and then a few months later, he said, hey, Coach Rick is going to start teaching classes here at Mystery Ridge. Come on over. So we reconnected after years of being apart, and geez, I miss the guy really bad. Gonna get me choked up talking about Jerry.
I know. Sorry. But it was cool. I mean, who would you know? I mean, talk about a unique man.
Oh my gosh.
Did the only one in the Portland area to have a specific ski jump for water skiing, and then he had the talent to pull people together who didn't know how to water ski to coordinate this pyramid. Mm-hmm. That's talent. I mean, that takes a lot of talent, and it takes a lot of hustle to go and hustle and call and work. And man, I'm lazy as shit. Man, I feel so lazy compared to what Jerry has done.
It's amazing. Every year you have to train new people. Some people will try it for 6 months or a year and give it up, decide they don't want to spend that much time doing it. So we were constantly training and advertising for new members all the time. And yes, lots of work to train new people. But spend 6 months on a show ski team, and all of a sudden you're in an elite group that's way above the weekend warriors that go out and slalom ski. Special ways to wind the ropes up so that they don't get tangled when the boat's pulling you out from the dock. Learning all of the nuances of how to make a show flow, and learning the entertainment for the people, and just there's so much to it. And
Well, think about how long it takes. For me personally, I knew that was a hang up I had, was dropping a ski. It took, I don't know, a lot of times for me to learn how to finally drop a ski and go slalom. So just to teach that one trick across several people, that's a lot of work.
most of the time you're on 2 skis. The girls would have what we called a ballet line or swivel skis where the binding spins around in complete circle and they do spins and acrobatic stuff all on one ski, but it's a big oversized ski. We call them show boards. Big skis. But yes, we did teach lots of people, and we took people that had never been on water skis before ever. And a couple of gals or a couple of guys would ski off the dock beside them and hang onto their arms, make sure they got up and stood up. And within a year, you can go from being a non-skier at all to being a pretty decent show skier. So lots of training all the time. And yeah, Jerry was very dedicated at that.
Well, you got Coeur d'Alene Lake there. You could do that yourself. You could keep it alive.
Yeah, that's one of the first things Jerry said when he found out I was up here was, Ken, let's put together a show ski team. And we made some inquiries and talked to some people. It just never got off the ground. And there's so much time involved in it and very little money.
No, it's for the love of the sport.
Yeah.
It's for the love of getting together to do it.
And these days, everybody's into wakeboarding and wake skiing or wake surfing. So it's kind of a dying art, outside of some of the bigger teams in the Midwest. What is really cool about the team we had in Portland, the Portland Water Spectacular, was that 5 of the members went on to become professional show skiers at places like Cypress Gardens or SeaWorld all around the country. And I think the best was a gal named Jack Ledoux, who's now Jack Lyman. She and her husband build water skis. They have skied all over the world. They were even flown over to the Middle East and some boats were flown over there to put on shows for some rich oil sheik. So it's real good for the Portland area to be able to say that they produced 5 pro skiers that skied for years in pro shows around the U.S.
Do you miss Portland?
Is there a brain in your head?
Well, I don't know. You never know. Hey, it's been.
No, I do not miss Portland at all. What it has become is just the opposite of where I want to be in life. Sad, but I still have a son and daughter-in-law and grandkids there.
Do you still live in Portland?
Yeah. Ooh, bless you.
Sorry, yeah.
Must be my cologne.
Comes in waves.
You get to edit that out, right?
No, it's all good. I keep it in. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, they're actually in Southwest, close to Lewis and Clark College, so they're away from the messes. But I don't feel real comfortable being downtown city streets in Portland anymore. It's just too crazy. I do get back to Portland frequently for holidays as well as acting jobs. And when I'm driving on the freeways there now compared to when I left there in 2013, it's just insane. I don't like it at all.
Yeah, I was there. I go there. I drive through there several times a year because my kids live in Oregon, south of Portland. They live on the coast. And so I drive through there. But it's sad. I remember when I was a kid, we used to go to Portland, and Portland was like the nice, relaxed place, big city to go to compared to Seattle. And we lived closer to Seattle than Portland at the time. But yeah, well, I have hope for Portland. I have hope for Seattle. I have a lot of hope, but in the meantime, it is what it is. But when it comes to acting, how did you get into acting?
Well, I started out by answering an ad in a newspaper. Turns out it was a acting school, and they were looking for students, but these actors, models wanted, and you show up and they throw a program at you and get you to sign the paper. It's not always like that. I spent a year and a half taking acting classes in Portland from 4 different coaches. I got up here in the first 4 months with Coach Rick. I learned more than a year and a half with 4 different coaches. I was hesitant to apply at an agency because
So Rick's really good.
Rick's good.
Damn. Well, thank you. That
Yes.
really puts perspective in my mind.
Thank you, Coach Rick.
Yeah, he is a good guy.
And within 4 or 5 months, I booked a speaking role in a full feature film, Vacant Lot, and many commercials and industrial since then. It's been pretty good up here. I can't complain at all. The competition's tough, but my agent helps out a lot. Sometimes I'll go 3-4 months and not even get a hit, or what they call an avail check, to see if you're available for a certain time. If you are, then the agent will submit you, and if the casting director likes you, then you get a audition request. And these days everything is videotaped, so you self-tape, submit, and they look them over and see if they want you or somebody else. It doesn't always mean your performance in your audition. Sometimes it's the look. You can have an audition that beats everybody else, but they wanted this person's look. So you can't worry about that kind of thing. You just give it your best shot and move on. I was afraid that I wasn't good enough to apply. At the time, I waited probably a year and a half, and I shouldn't have. I was an agency in Spokane and Seattle called MAM. It is now Autograph Talent. And when I finally mustered up the courage to send in an audition, a gentleman there called me up and asked me to come down and interview in person. And he said, I have never watched an audition tape twice. He said, but yours was so phenomenal. I had to see it a second time, and then I had to look it up online and to see what movie that came from, because I had never seen anything so good. I was like, really? The lack of self-confidence slowed me down. And I don't know, I've nailed some pretty good stuff over the last few years. My favorite one was going down to Boise and filming for what we call an industrial. It was for just in-house for a company called the Pennant Group. And I played an old man who was dying of cancer, and a hospice nurse was coming to take care of me. So it's a company that has 40 senior living centers and sends out hospice nurses, and they're nationwide. They solicited stories from their hospice nurses and came up with the 2 best ones and turned them into movie scripts, and I got chosen to be the old man dying in what I felt was the best of the 2 stories. So I was very blessed to get that. And it turned out so well that I urged the director to turn it into some film festivals. And I think she probably only did 1, but it did get chosen to be shown at, it was called Film Fort. And they have over 600 live bands over a multi-day period. And the film festival section was just added to it recent years. But it was not only standing room only, there was people on the floor in the aisleways watching this. And so that was kind of cool. That was very, very touching, very emotional. Some of the crew members got pretty emotional on set, and one of the takes that we were doing for one of the scenes, I broke down myself. And then the director went back to Oklahoma for their annual banquet where they premiered that video, or both of them, I guess. And she came back to town and said that half the audience was in tears. So my coach says, if you touch one person, you've done your job. So I think I touched a few people with that one. And it still solicits tears from people that watch it. So that's my favorite. I've done a lot of stuff, but that was the most touching.
Probably a really deep role.
It was, yeah.
It sounds like it. I mean, it sounds like something people don't want to talk about. But if you're there as like the wise old dying guy, like that's great. And that people are going to remember that. I know I'm discrediting everything. Like, I'm not saying you're old.
People die every day, and
You're
I am
probably
old.
You're at least 45. I'll give you that.
72.
No, 45. I ain't
72.
gonna give you more than 45. Well, shit, that's a good thing. And that's a really meaningful role. I bet that was very reflective. It made you think about like life and what sort of wisdom you can pass on.
Yeah, we all got to die sometime. So that was impactful just for what it was, you know, and being able to touch so many people with it is name of the game. You know, who are you going to touch? It's not about trying to impress or I'm all this great actor. No. It's about touching lives.
How are you going to engage the audience?
Absolutely.
How engaging are you?
Which brings us to what
That's
you
a
do.
really good part.
Yeah. What is going to get everybody's attention? How are you going to keep retaining them?
Nice. And so, talk about other roles you've had acting. I know you didn't say.
I did Stopbox. It's a
that's a
Spokane
good
Valley company that ships these hard plastic lock boxes that are mechanical, so no batteries to go bad and nothing to freak out about when you're under stress. If somebody breaks into your house or your car and somebody tries to hijack your car, if you don't have immediate access to concealed carry, then this box is nearly impossible to get into. But you can open them, and I don't know what the record was. It was just barely over 1 second to press these buttons and get this box open and grab your firearm. Cool product. And we did a couple of different scenes. I did a lecture real estate commercial up at Sandpoint that was lots of fun last August. Got delayed a few times from fires, and we had a boat scene, and the owner of the boat couldn't get his boat out. He had to evacuate the area. I did a North Dakota Department of Transportation impaired driving commercial with several different scenes and local actors and actresses in that. All in the period of about 3 months last year. Got pretty busy for me at the end of the year. I was in a local movie called Mold that was the very first movie of a Spokane. Jasper Ramsey directed it, wrote it, and acted in it, and I played his father. He shipped that off to Film Festival in Seattle. It got picked up and played.
What was Mold about?
It was a sci-fi thing about mold being everywhere. And it was affecting my son, and grew on his faucet, grew inside him, and he was having some coughing fits. And then at the end of the movie, just everything was all mold. Sci-fi thing. But he did a really good job for his very first movie. It was just him and me and one guy running camera and sound, and it came out great. What else did I do?
Well, you guys did the 50-hour slam.
Oh, yeah, I've done a couple of those. That one was with the Three Amoebas.
Yep.
Production company.
Oh, yeah.
Matt Hatch and Coulter.
Matt.
And
Hatch and Coulter. Me bending it up.
Yeah. Good guys. Really good guys. We had fun doing that. Other than nobody gets any sleep. I think I got about 6 hours total out of the whole weekend. We did not get in the top 15, but I really liked what we did.
Yeah, it was tough this year.
Yeah.
Really tough.
Yeah. 33
yeah.
teams, and 30 of them managed to get it done in time to turn them in. So that's a pretty high percentage that actually were able to complete it in time, because that's always a big concern for a lot of teams. First one that I did a few years back, we didn't get it done in time, which turned out for the better because some more scenes got added, and it turned into a great little short. That was with Jack Gomez in Spokane. Great guy to work with, and he came up with an amazing little plot. Unfortunately, we didn't get it done in time for the competition, but what we added to it a month later turned it into a great little short. Mm-hmm. That one is called Perfect. And it's on YouTube. That's a great one. Used the same actress, one of the actresses in there that I used in the commercial for Safe Passage, Ashley Tesla. Fun stuff.
Nice. So where do you see yourself, where do you see the future of acting going?
Well, that's a tough question. There's all kinds of places to go if you want to get into acting. Don't count on it as being your sole source of income, but there's fun stuff. You get into it for the love of the art, and I really enjoy being on set and filming. It's just great. If you're acting, there's always a lot of work ahead of time, learning your lines, getting off book, learning how to try on different flavors with the same words, different colors. And so, oh, that's great. Now let's try this. And a little bit too soft there. Give me some more mustard on that line. And, things like that. And that's what acting class is about. We try on different things. Once you get off book, it's so much easier to just, now I want you to sound completely drunk. Or now I want you to sound like a tyrant. Or now act like a little shy sheep. Just so many different flavors that you can try on, and pretty soon you find one that everybody in the room will just say, yeah, that's the one, keep that. So that's kind of fun. I was practicing a monologue from the Joker scene in Batman.
Yeah, it's a fun one.
So you're acting like a psycho, but you're a very intelligent psycho. And we played around with that for a while, and Coach Rick said, you know what? I want you to sound funny. You're laughing because of what you've done, and you are so nuts that everything is humorous to you. And so I did it laughing, and it turned out great, and everybody's like, wow, that's the one to keep. So you get to try on different stuff. You get to be somebody that you not normally are, and you walk out the door and you're yourself again. But you get to be somebody else, and so many different flavors and colors that you don't normally get to be in society. Most of the time you act weird or tell a funny joke and be goofy and everybody looks at you. Ugh. No, in acting class, you get to be that person and they love it. Mm-hmm. You put it on film and you look at it and you start laughing and you say, that was great. So it reminds me all the time of, there used to be some films when a little girl's voice at the end would say, I made this. And that's what it's about. It's the love of the art.
Well, that's some really cool stuff. And it goes back to, like, where do you think people's attention span is going to be within the next year, 5 years? Because if we're watching videos that are just shorts, right, and we're just scrolling through a short, I don't know. Oh, I guess that's a better question. What do you watch on social media?
Well, I'm still into national and international politics, even though I don't want anything to do with it. I keep my eyes on it. Yeah. But I tend to be overly serious sometimes and not a lot of fun. And so humor always works. Mm-hmm. When we filmed Vacant Lot, it was a cool story, and it was kind of humorous all the way through, lighthearted. But one scene made everybody in the theater laugh. And it caught me off guard. And I'm like, you know what? People need to laugh. We need to see stuff that later we say, oh, that was hilarious. And I recently watched a short that one of my cohorts from acting class, Jaden Cornett, local actor and musician, did in a 50-hour slam with Caden Butera recently. And there's two detectives in a car, and one of them is looking at a crime scene down the road a block or two through binoculars, and it's just a short, 4 or 5 minutes long, absolutely hilarious. Those are the kind of things that you remember.
Yeah.
You can have a serious documentary, and maybe you'll get some people talking about the issues or arguing with their family members over left versus right or whatever the issue is. But the ones that everybody remembers and puts a smile on their face is humor. Make people feel good. That's the bottom line. They remember what made them laugh and had joy.
Have you tried stand-up comedy?
Me? No.
No.
Every now and then I'll come up with something quick-witted and funny, but I don't know that I have enough material to be able to do that full-time.
Yeah. It's a hard one. It's a tough art.
Yeah.
I've done stand-up. I've done it for years. It's sucks when you bomb.
Yeah.
It's not fun to bomb.
James, leave the car running.
Yeah, just leave the car running. Yeah, it's not fun when you bomb. But that's the thing. You gotta not be afraid to experiment.
Yeah.
And I read this book, and I keep asking, what do you think the future is acting is going to be? And I've noticed that there was this thing called where, prior to Hollywood, there was these people called neighborhood actors. So neighborhood actors would get around, and they were the neighborhood's actors, and they would act in different things. So there were neighborhood actors, and that has shifted ever since Hollywood got in and they could get better talent. Those all went away. Mm. I feel like that's coming back.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
I don't know how much local theater goes on in Spokane, but people that I'm associated with participate in the Coeur d'Alene Summer Theater. So little stuff like that, plays, local neighborhood stuff, small events. It's Jaden that I mentioned a couple minutes ago was teaching a drama class at a private school this last year, and did a little show. So stuff like that, where you're waking up the kids in the neighborhood and getting them involved in drama. That's nice. It's good to see that stuff.
So talk about sound resonance.
Sound resonance, as in healing or hurting your ear?
Well, all
rock
of that.
concerts?
Like what makes you so interested in vibrations of sound? Even though it's really cool, I get it.
Well, was that Nikola Tesla? Said if you want to understand the world, you need to understand vibrations. Everything has vibrations. The earth vibrates too much, we call it an earthquake. But there's frequencies around us all the time, good and bad. I know Wi-Fi routers and things of that nature, cell phone signals aren't all that good for you, but there are a lot of frequencies that heal you. And back in the late 70s, early 80s, I started learning about a man in the 1920s and 30s, Dr. Royal Raymond Rife. And he had a theory that frequencies could either shatter cancer cells or could enhance your liver. And he started experimenting, and at the time he couldn't find a microscope that was powerful enough to see what he wanted to see, so he built his own high-powered microscope. And sure enough, he discovered that there were certain frequencies that would shatter tuberculosis cells and cancer cells. And he and some other engineers got together and they started experimenting with equipment and ended up with 5 different versions of frequency generators that used plasma tube beams. You broadcast frequencies at yourself. And I thought that was pretty cool. Didn't do any more research. The internet wasn't around. Nobody had computers in those days. So just maybe 9-10 years ago, I ran across something more and I started looking it up and researching it and found out there's all kinds of companies building all kinds of frequency generators for healing. And I studied all the different brands, found a company in Utah that had an actual copy of the 5th and final version that Dr. Reif used in his lab in their possession. He reverse engineered it as well as their 3rd and 4th versions and built a system based on the 5th version. At the time, I spent $5,000 on it plus tax and shipping. Best thing I ever did. It's amazing. Started curing stuff I didn't even know I had wrong with me. I had a dislocated shoulder from diving for a softball in a game 30 years ago. Been hurting ever since. All of a sudden, it quit hurting. I'm like, what? They came up with frequencies that cured COVID when people were suffering from that. If you can think of any disease, frequencies will heal it. So I got involved in some online groups, two groups specifically for the brand that I have, and then some generic groups. Because I like to research and dig deep and learn everything I can as fast as I can about everything. 2 of these groups I spend the most time helping people on. I quickly became the highest point accumulation member that helps people. Not that I care about that, but I just happen to glance at, oh my gosh, there's people started this group 10, 12 years ago or 20 years ago, and I come along and in 6 months I've outdone everybody else in assisting other people. I learned a lot really quick. One group that's got over 70,000 members gave me the title of group expert. Whatever. I was given freely, other than the cost of the machine, but the knowledge and the wisdom, and so I just share that back freely. And now I have people that actually want private consultations and send me Venmo payments to teach them about the equipment and how to use it properly, how to set it up. Amazing stuff. There is absolutely nothing that you can't cure with the right frequencies, and that's part of it. It's a big part of it. Obviously, you need to not be putting toxins into your body, whether it's food, air, or water. You need to have the right vitamins, minerals, and herbs in your body. But frequencies are magic. And that's why Tesla said, if you want to understand the world, you've got to understand frequencies. I think we're just now learning that a lot of the cathedrals in Europe that we thought were churches were where people went to heal, and the acoustics and the frequencies that were bouncing around the room would heal people. And you would go in there and sit down or lay down for a half hour and then go about your day. Or even the bells that have all been taken out of the churches, and there's a reason for that. Sound waves will heal you, and allopathic medicine doesn't want you to know about that. So churches don't have bells anymore because they healed people.
Interesting.
They've got a lot of tuning forks that you can buy, or you just bang on something, or the little Tibetan bowls that you pound on.
And the sands that change.
Absolutely.
Yes, I see those as the sands that change shape.
You put sand out on a glass plate and you play different frequencies, and they will literally vibrate and rearrange really cool, like snowflake patterns in the sand. It's fascinating, and it's all been covered up and hidden from us.
Is that what you told Bonnie when you met her? Was I have a generator with
Yeah.
the frequencies that can heal you?
Yeah, baby, come over to my place. I got a frequency generator.
I got the frequency generators that'll heal you.
No, I like to help people heal. I like to spread knowledge and wisdom about natural methods of healing. And so I have offered multiple times to multiple people to come check out what I have. I have not had one cold since I started using that. And it's been almost 8 years. If I get a sore throat, there's a couple of pre-programmed auto channels that have maybe a dozen frequencies in them, and I'll run those on myself for an hour or two, and boom, sore throat's gone, no cold, ever.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I want to try that.
Yeah. Next
now
time you're
I'm
up,
interested as a data scientist to scientifically experiment.
Next time you come up to Mystery Ridge, I'd be
yeah.
happy to show it to you. Yeah. the particular brand that I have has got 888 pre-programmed channels, and I've made a bunch of custom ones on my own from frequencies that I find in other frequency books. There's a lot of that out there, just nobody talks about it. And doctors, medical doctors, oh, that stuff's quackery. It's not proven. There's no double-blind studies. Well, nobody wants to pay for that because they don't want it to come out. So...
yeah, that's a good point. How much people suppress information. And I was thinking about that, like homesteading, how people used to make the windmills that would turn and generate electricity for the rest of the home.
Yep.
We don't do that anymore.
No, a lot of that stuff, and even collecting your own rainwater has been outlawed in many places. Like, how crazy is that? They don't own the world. They don't own the water. What gives them the right to tell you you can't do this or you can't do that? And going back to Tesla, he and Thomas Edison worked together. Tesla wanted to give everybody free electricity. He lit up every light bulb in Colorado Springs from 4 miles away with no wires. Edison says, oh, no, we're going to run the electricity through wires and meters, and we'll charge people on how much electricity they use. And they got into big battles. And mysteriously, all of Tesla's work was burned up. Accidentally, of course. You know that, right?
And he died penniless in a
Yeah.
hotel room divisible by 3. It's really sad. Like how much he did for the world. He took an entire he with 3 of his AC. He created AC.
Yeah.
AC/DC. He created AC, alternate current, and because before that, every mile you would have a station that would just smoke and just put a bunch of smoke in the air just to create electricity, and it was such a luxury. And then Tesla came along and harnessed Niagara Falls. Incredible shit, man.
What we do to geniuses like that is extremely sad. All for the almighty buck.
Yeah, it is really sad. However, oh fucking well. There's not a whole lot I can do about it yet. But maybe one day I will. But talk about your cars.
My cars.
You have quite an automotive genius.
I do?
Well, you're good at what you do with the cars.
I am? Oh.
You showed me your one. Was that a Chevy?
I've got a 77 Corvette.
Corvette, yeah.
That
yeah.
I bought as a total in 1991.
Mm-hmm.
And I've soaked a lot of blood, sweat, and tears and money, probably 3 times what it's worth, into it. It's not a bad-looking car right now. We used it in a music video for a gal who's an up-and-coming country star, Gabriella Rose. Fun to drive around, and I've had it for 35 years now. A long time to keep a car. So it wasn't anything real special, and it wasn't real old when I bought it, but now it's getting pretty old. Not too many 1977s on the road. Wrecked it a time or 2, been painted 5 times, changed tires and wheels. I don't wear tires out. I have to replace them because they get age cracks. That's how little I drive it.
Yeah.
But it's a pretty sharp-looking car.
It's a fun-looking car. I like the shape of it.
Yeah, it's not bad looking. They don't have curves like that anymore.
What was the first car you bought?
Oh, it was a 1963 Plymouth Valiant.
Okay.
And I totaled it.
Well, that must have been a heavy car.
No, Plymouth Valiants were the base car that they made the Barracudas out of. So mine was a 63, I think 64, 65, they started making a Barracuda out of it. So it became a legendary race car after that, but mine was just before that. That was the first one. Driver's education, when I was 15, the speaker from the State Patrol came and said, 25% of you are going to have a major accident in your first year. And we're like, not me. Yeah, well, I probably had a beer or two too many and was racing a guy on gravel after a snow or ice storm and wiped it out.
You turned into a statistic.
Yep, I became a statistic.
Statistic.
Yep, and a bad one too. Don't drink and drive. Don't race on gravel. Don't oversteer. But I'm a good boy these days, really.
That's good. I'm glad. I'm glad you're a good boy. Even though you could be a bad one. I mean, shit.
Yeah, a lot of temptation in the world.
Did you see that shit go down in Twin Falls, Idaho?
No, but I read about it.
I read about it too. That guy had a feather in his hat, and I thought, it was the hat. It was the hat that saved everybody. I don't know, but that's something to think about. If you could concealed carry everywhere, would you do it?
I do.
Well, good.
I'm never without a firearm.
Here's the question. Should you have to pay money to conceal carry?
No.
I don't think so, because that's just registering yourself.
We have a God-given right to self-defense.
Second Amendment.
Before that.
You should not be afraid of this.
Before that, even, we have a right to self-defense. We have a duty to protect innocent life. And if somebody has got a baseball bat and they're beating somebody up and you got a gun, you need to defend the defenseless. That's a duty that we have as humans. And for some man-made government to come along and say, oh, well, you need a permit to do that and you have to pay us for this. And no, you're not allowed to carry that kind of weapon.
Like, how dare you defend yourself? You're going to jail for defending yourself.
Yeah. So I was pleased to see things like the Kyle Rittenhouse situation.
Shit.
And strange coincidence, one of the actresses that was in our class is now in law enforcement and moved back to the Midwest, but her father was the county sheriff that dealt with that situation with the riots and Kyle Rittenhouse using an AR-15. And things like that is kind of dumb. Somebody wants to riot, just stay away.
Just so everyone's clear, Kyle Rittenhouse was there with an AR, and he was there to be of protection, and this guy who was a fucking pedophile, multiple pedophile, with a skateboard decided to beat up on people, and Kyle Rittenhouse shot and killed the dude, defended himself, won in court, and that's where it is.
Yeah.
And people want to kill. People are so stupid over this stupid shit. I mean, it's really dumb.
Yeah. Rioting never got very many people very far towards their objectives. But I tend to avoid conflict if at all possible, and to purposely march into a riot with an AR over my shoulder is not something I would advise or do myself.
What would your son do, Ken? What would your sons do?
Which ones?
The Marine. What would he do?
I don't know. He's a pretty mellow dude.
Is he? Yeah, I bet he is.
Yeah, he'd probably stay away from conflict.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame him.
But
I would too.
You wouldn't want to mess with somebody who's been in the military and trained. And probably 30 years ago, I watched my oldest son disassemble an AR-15 and put it back together in 30 seconds. It's like, wow.
Good for him.
Yeah,
Good
that's impressive. I couldn't do that, but hopefully, and both of my sons have really good heads on their shoulder. They wouldn't do stupid things, but they're highly qualified to take care of business if it called for it.
Hell yeah.
So, and that's the name of the game. Too many times people will buy a firearm, going to sound a little chauvinistic, but mostly females, and they'll have it in their purse, but they never pull it out, and they don't go practice, and they're not practicing pulling it out of their purse and using it. And situation arises, oh, well, I have a pistol, and I'll pull it out and point it at somebody, a bad guy that's going to do something, and then they just stand there and freeze, and the bad guy will reach out and rip it out of their hands before they can pull the trigger. People have no idea how quickly somebody can move, and by the time you figure out that they're doing something, it's too late. You can't react to what they're doing. So if you're going to pull a gun out and stick it in somebody's face, you better be doing it for the right reason, and you better pull the trigger.
Yes. I agree. You better pull that fucking trigger. Because if you're just there to pull it out and be a show of force and he just embarrasses you, what good are you? Nothing. No good. When you pull it up, you kill. And that's that's the thing a lot of Americans are afraid of. Like, oh, I killed somebody in self-defense. I'm guilty. No, you're not fucking guilty.
No.
You killed someone in self-defense. They were the perpetrator. They chose of their own volition to come here and fuck with you.
Yep.
And you ended their life. I get it. It sucks. You didn't want to do it. But you're not to blame. At least you did the right thing, or the right reaction. And that's the only thing we can hope that our kids can do.
Yeah.
Is do the right fucking reaction. And that is kill the motherfucker that needs to die when they need to die.
I took a 12-week course with the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office in Portland years ago, and one of the scenarios that we did was firearm training in shoot, don't shoot scenarios. And out of the class of 12 people, I scored the highest in a lot of the shooting stuff. And not to brag about that, but they chose me for one specific demonstration because I was really quick on the draw, and I was quick at popping off all of these milk jugs on this log with this training scenario. And so they had an officer standing in front of me, and I'm pointing a gun at him. And he has a knife or gun in his hand, but it's down at his side. And he says, tell me to put it down. Make me put it down before you shoot me. And he argues back with me, and I'm like, put it down before I shoot. He literally reaches up and grabs the gun out of my hand before I could pull the trigger, and I'm pointing it at him. That's how slow our reaction time is compared to the bad guy who's already made a decision to make a move on you. Mm-hmm. You don't have time. And so a lot of times when they say, oh, well, a police officer shouldn't have shot, or he shot too soon, or he didn't know, maybe the guy was going to back off. You don't have time. It was proven to me that a guy with a knife on one side of the average 2-lane highway can run across the street and stab you before you have a chance to shoot him because you can't react that quick.
Yeah, 14-foot rule.
And that just blew me away. I'm like, you know what? You're going to pull a gun, you better pull the trigger immediately, or you're going to die.
If you pull a gun, you kill.
Yep.
You don't question. You just kill them and then deal with the aftermath.
And you're gonna get sued no matter what. So it's better to, dead men tell no tales.
Better to be judged by 12 than carried by 6.
Yeah. And if you wound somebody, they're gonna testify against you. If that person's dead, they can't be saying, "Oh, he didn't have to kill me."
Yeah. Dead. Yeah. You do what's right, man. No, I feel you. It's shitty. We live in this society where you have to feel like, okay, if I killed someone in self-defense, I'm going to have to go to jail. I'm going to have to retain an attorney. I'm going to have to pay a bunch of money and hope that the charges get dropped. If they don't get dropped, I'm going to have to keep fighting it all the way to $30,000 minimum for a felony charge. All the way to trial. And all this fucking shit, dude. It's a lot of crap. Yeah, but it is what it is.
Sounds like you're passionate about this subject.
Well, I've been there, and it's like, how can you control something you can't control?
Yeah.
All you can control is what you're going to do with the trigger with somebody comes up. But the probability of that happening is incredibly low.
It's sad that there are people out there that will not respect other people's rights, or they want to take something from you. They covet another man's property, Give me your wallet. Give me your watch. Give me your rings. Give me your necklace. Whatever it is. It's sad that there's people like that out there that you have to defend yourself. I have the philosophy that we should be able to do anything we want to. It's our right up to the point of interfering with somebody else's rights. Then you've crossed the line. You want to go out and do drugs and kill yourself? Go ahead. But if you do drugs and rob from your neighbor to pay for your drugs, now you've crossed the line. You've interfered with somebody else's right. So that's the line. Is it my right to do this by myself, or am I going to mess with somebody else's rights?
That's a good point. So when it comes to jumping off a ramp with water skis, what's the highest ramp you've jumped off?
6 foot is the highest that they let anybody jump off of. Depending on what age bracket you're in, you're at either 5 foot, 5.5 foot, or 6 foot.
So just 6 foot.
6 foot's the highest that I've been over. But when you hit that thing at anywhere from 40 to 70 miles an hour, it's like hitting a brick wall. If you're not as compressed as you can be when you hit it, it will definitely compress you, and that throws you off, and you don't get the form coming off of the top of it. And,
so compress you as in?
Well, if your knees are bent and you're crouched down, cutting into the ramp, if you're not down low enough and don't have your knees pushed far enough forward, when you hit that ramp, your butt's going to end up on the back of your skis. And then when you go up, your balance is off and you're going to end up landing on your back or upside down when you hit the water. So you have to be in a position to be balanced at an incline before you hit that incline. So you're leaning so far forward and your knees are so far down that you feel like you're going to tip over forward when you hit the ramp, and then instantly you're balanced. And then you have to go from the compressed position to expanding your legs and standing up so that you get a push off of the top of the ramp. And then you lean way out forward when you're in the air so that you don't fall over backwards when you hit the water.
Damn. I guess I'd have to experience that.
It takes a lot of practice before you start, hitting the ramp at 60, 70 miles an hour.
How did it feel?
Thrilling. Mm-hmm. I loved it. Like I said, I somehow miraculously landed my first jump, and I was hooked. It's like, wow, this is cool. I want to do lots of this.
So Jerry got you hooked on the drug of jumping.
Well, it was just before I met Jerry, but, he had the jump ramp when I got back to Portland, and so that was something that I just absolutely loved. I would go every summer for a week down to Lake Shasta and train with some of the Australian jumpers that were pros that would come up and teach water ski classes at Shasta Lake with Mike Siderhoud, who was a big famous name in the 60s and early 70s.
Shasta's pretty.
Yeah. So a lot of that, and then I would go to Florida to learn freestyle jumping, front flips, helicopter spins, that type of stuff, gainers where you're flipping backwards, and I get pretty beat up doing that, but a lot of fun. I met lots of the top water skiers in the world that way. That was a good time of my life. The heydays, I guess, doing a lot of that. Had a couple of buddies that we used to jump in my van and head for jump tournaments all over the place. Go and hang out and watch other people ski and get your 5 minutes on the water and drive back home. A lot of good stuff, and it's great exercise. I didn't have to do anything else the 23 years that I was on the show ski team. So great family fun too for show skiers. We had many parents involved and young kids. Some of them went on to be pretty good college competitors in water ski sports.
Seems like Jerry created quite a network.
He did.
Shit, good for him.
He lined up a lot of people everywhere he
Good
went.
for that man.
Everywhere he went. Brought in lots of actors and show skiers over the years.
So if you were to create a puppet, what kind of puppet would you create?
Be a cross between Einstein and the Hulk.
Okay. Some smart rip guy.
Some smart ripped guy, yeah. Gentle as a lamb, but a roaring tiger inside, intelligent, but thoughtful, and menacing looking enough to not be bothered. I don't know what that puppet would look like.
Would he get the views though?
Pardon me?
Would he get the views though?
The views. I would depend on what the puppet said.
Yeah, that would depend on what they said. On their personality. So what sort of personality of a puppet would you create?
Wow. I don't know. You're challenging me. I've never
I know, these are
thought
good
this.
questions.
Humor, always to start with. Get people laughing. Then you can sneak in little bits of wisdom and tidbits of information that wake them up.
Okay.
I'm all about waking people up. So that maybe that people don't always want to hear things from humans, but if you were able to use a puppet to inject some humor, they'd pay more attention, and then you slip in a little tidbit here and there that makes them think.
What was your farthest back memory you can remember?
Oh my gosh.
I know. Think about that while I go pee. Think about it. It's okay. You got plenty of time. Good. Great.
You okay over there?
I'm just listening.
No, you're supposed to talk while I was in the bathroom.
Was I?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
okay.
boy.
It's okay. I'll just edit it. It's all good. It's all right. I'm a good editor. That's the best part. What else should we ask? What else should I ask?
Well,
I don't know what else to ask.
Okay. We're running up on 128.
oh, so that's
I know. Time flies when you have fun.
okay.
Okay. It doesn't matter. So.
Okay, you can always edit more.
Puppets. What sort of puppet would you want? You said one
well,
that
we
was
did that
funny.
one. You asked me what was my
Uh,
youngest or my earliest childhood memories.
earliest childhood memory. Yeah.
Well, I used to do crazy things. I had a little game I played with myself. I would run across the street in front of cars. When I first started doing it, they'd be half a block away, and I would get bolder when I didn't get hit.
Playing chicken.
Playing chicken with
Shit.
cars, and I was 3-4 years old. And I would wait till they got closer and closer, and I'd run across in front of them, knowing that I could make it because I would see where they are and time it. One time I had a stick in my hand about 3 feet long, and I ran out in front of a car, and I knew when I did it, it was too close. And so I stopped, and this car hit the stick in my hand and broke it. And fortunately, I was smart enough to back up. But this guy stopped his car in the middle of the street, and he gets out and he grabs me and he marches me up to my door and knocks on the door and gives my mom the riot act. And she was a space cadet. She had no idea I had been playing this little game. But I didn't play it anymore.
You know your son Ken's a piece of fucking shit. Start whacking my goddamn car with a stick.
Yeah. So I had a lot of brushes with death in my life, and that was the first one of the first things I remember. I remember a few things when I was 2-3 years old, but not very many.
And where was this at? What state?
That was in Washington, a little town called Ilwaco, right at
Oh, I know
the
Ilwaco.
mouth of the Columbia River.
Yeah.
I was born there. We lived in Seaview, a little tiny white spot in the road just north of that at the time. But then we lived in a couple of different houses in Ilwaco. So crazy things. I took my tricycle down to the boat docks one time and I found a can of brown paint that was abandoned, that was almost empty. And I found a stick and I dug through the crust on the top of this dried paint in the bottom of the can and smeared it on my tricycle. I was going to paint my tricycle.
El Waco. Isn't that some shit how bad kids used to be? 'Cause they had nothing better for themselves going on than go out on bikes and cause problems.
I rode that tricycle. I don't know how far it is now. It was a little lake quite a ways away called Black Lake, and rode my tricycle up to Black Lake and back home when I was 3. I remember that. Stupid stuff, when you're a kid, you don't know what's going on. You're a bold adventurer.
And you survived to tell the tale.
Somehow. Yep.
So what sort of movie would you want to be in? If you were to create a movie, and you're like the main actor, what would you want to be?
Rom-com drama.
Okay.
Action.
All right.
I get passed over for a lot of parts now because I am older, but I don't feel old. So I still think like, I could be an action star. Or maybe some of the Dirty Harry movies. Clint Eastwood was great at being subdued and calm, but still a tough guy. Those kinds of things I like. Or some sort of a character that's intelligent, and maybe subdued, but still a tough guy. Sort of fit my personality. I'm usually pretty quiet. So when I work on a monologue or a scene that calls for some yelling and screaming, I do it, but it's far from the real me. And so it's a stretch to be loud and rowdy, because I'm usually pretty quiet and subdued. But as an actor, you get to do those things.
Well, then this will be a good thought experiment for you. If you were a serial killer, how would you do your first serial killing?
That's pretty dark. I'm not sure I even want to
I
go
know,
there.
it's a good one, right? That's why I like it.
Well, because I like to research, I'd probably study a lot of serial killers and see what they did to avoid being caught. Because obviously, if you head that direction, you don't want to get caught.
Yeah, fuck it. You don't care if you get caught. You want to be famous.
I would want to mess with people's heads so much that they killed themselves, so that there was absolutely no way that it could ever be pinned on me.
Good job. Way to do that. Okay, so how would you do that?
Probably study Satan's tactics,
Okay.
because that's what he does. He gets people to become drug addicts or murderers, and they end up getting a life sentence or death penalty, and he didn't have to lay a hand on anybody.
But how are you going to kill people? You're the serial killer.
I don't know that I could do that. Even in a movie, I would seriously try to.
Would you kill men or women?
Would have to be
Both?
people that deserved it.
Okay,
I don't
all right.
know
you're
that
a
saying.
righteous serial killer. All right. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know that it would be specifically
Alright.
only men or only women or vengeance killers. It wouldn't be anything like that. It would be people that truly deserve to die. Maybe somebody that has done extremely psychotic, sick murders himself and keeps getting off the hook.
Okay.
It would be more of a I'm saving multiple people from dying at his hand in the future.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay, so
That
how
type
would
of-
you do it?
Physically, how would I do it?
Yeah, come on. You gotta think about this.
I don't know. Beating somebody to death sounds like fun.
Sounds like fun.
Maybe.
It's a lot of work.
Shooting people, yeah, you could get sore hands beating on somebody.
I think like what leaves the most evidence.
Your own blood at the scene would be.
Right? Yeah,
So
the
you want to
shitty
avoid
prints,
that.
all that crap.
This is dark.
I know. That's what I love about it. That's what I love about it, Ken.
You sick bastard.
Thank
I'm
you.
out.
Thank you. This is why I'm here. That's why I'm here. Come on.
Man, I don't know. My mind just doesn't even go there. This is a challenge. I have no idea. I suppose long-range sniper rifle silencer.
Takes too much skill. Come on.
Well, but I would be skilled.
Yeah, you miss, and then people find your shooting position.
Drone? Drop a bomb? I don't know.
Drone drop a bomb. That's a good one.
This is going on YouTube, and it's all going to be used against me by a
Okay.
jury in the future.
Yeah, don't use this against Ken. Jesus, I'm just hypothetically giving good stuff
Okay.
to try to get engagement.
I don't want to kill people.
He's not a good killer, and he's not a killer.
I would be a bad killer.
He's a bad killer. He doesn't.
I'd
even know
get
how to
caught
kill.
first time, life sentence, electric chair or something.
So you got 2 sons.
2 sons.
What would you say to your daughter if she was 20 years old and ready to move on with life? What would you say to her?
Same thing I said to my sons. Keep your damn pants on.
Keep your damn pants on. Yeah, you think that's going to work?
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't work.
It did, and it didn't. I didn't have any daughters, so I don't know, how I would treat them differently. I just didn't get that experience, which was sad. Maybe with a daughter, instead of saying keep your pants on, I'd say put this chastity belt on, and I'm keeping the key. I don't know.
Bonnie, what would you say?
To my daughter,
Yes.
I gave my daughter good advice, and said, as far as being out in the world,
Sure.
do the right thing, and then you'll never be sorry. And but do what makes you happy
Seems generic.
without hurting other people.
That's a good one. I
Okay.
like that. That's a very measured response. Better than what I would say.
I got one for you.
All right, get it.
Going
Get it.
back to the ski team, one of the gals that joined shortly after me had a daughter who had natural abilities, but she also had a fear factor that she wasn't capable or wasn't good enough. And one day out on a practice dock, she was kind of him-hawing around about doing something, and I said, Taylor, you can do anything you want to do. You just don't realize it. And years later, I asked her if she remembered that, and she didn't. But she became a dancer for the Portland Winterhawks hockey team. She became Miss Oregon. She didn't make Miss America, but she had that experience. None of those things happen unless you do it. When I get into politics, you're not going to get there unless you do it. Taylor put her mind and her heart on being a dancer for the Portland Winterhawks, and she did it. She wanted to be Miss America. She made it to Miss Oregon. She jumped in there and she did it. You can do what you tell yourself you're going to succeed at, unless there's some physical limitations. But that's why I reminded her after she had gone through the experience of being Miss Oregon. I said, do you remember me telling you years ago you can do anything you want? She goes, no. I'm like, well, you did it anyway. So that's what I would tell my daughter. Get some goals and do them. Set some target goals and go after the main goal and get there. You can do it. All you have to do is do it.
That's a good point.
And my daughter is a nurse practitioner and deals with geriatric patients. I'm very proud of her.
That's a lot of selfless work, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's better than, that's a phenomenal thing. Shit. Well, and Ken, what next?
I'm a really bad planner. I don't plan vacations, trips. I don't plan my life. I just never figured out what I wanted to be when I grew up, so I was a little bit of everything. What does the future hold for me? Right now, I'm doing everything I can to assist Amanda Steen at Mystery Ridge Movie Ranch.
Yeah, talk about that. That sucks for me that I didn't explain it. So, what are you guys doing there?
Well, we have a plan to rebuild the cowboy town that blew over in 2 different windstorms. We're currently working on some indoor sets. Want to make permanent sets inside one of the buildings there. So we've been framing walls and planning as we go along. None of us are great engineers or planners, so we have to stop and say, how do we want this to look? Or what are we going to need for camera access in this set? How are we going to do this? We want to install a rain system so we can have it look like it's raining, and in the middle of this building all the way through is going to be an alleyway. And so we want to have the cars be able to drive through in the rain and look like it's really outdoors. It'll be good to have permanent sets. So we're trying to do multiple things. We've got an old dilapidated kitchen that has now been used in 4 movies that we're saving and framing it in so that it's a closed-off kitchen. We're going to build a bar scene. We've got a spaceship in there that the interior, and we're expanding that to be, I think it'll end up being about twice the size it was, if not larger. Just doing everything I can. I get out there and they've got a lot of acreage to mow, and her son has got severe allergies to cut grass, and so I throw on some ear plugs and put on a suit because it wind always up there blowing this stuff around, and everything from mowing yards to feeding deer that come to the back porch of where I'm staying, and building these sets. And so it's real handy for Thursday night acting class with Coach Rick. They're taught there, and so we'll have anywhere from 2 to a dozen students every week coming in just to help. And that's another duty I feel I have is helping the widow. So do everything I can to help keep that place going.
Well, we're on an hour and 45 minutes, so last but not least, what book recommendations do you have?
Number one would be the New Testament.
Good one.
I enjoy reading about frequency healing and health in general. I'm kind of a health nut, always have been. Learn to take care of your body. Doctors have what they call practices because they're practicing. They don't know your body as well as you do, no matter how many tests they run. Here, try this drug sample I got from ABC Pharmacy. Oh, that one didn't work. Oh, you felt sick? Try this drug. Try this drug. Here, they're practicing. You know your body better than anybody else. And when you learn what it takes to keep the right vitamins, minerals, herbs in you and keep the toxins out, that's what we need to do to stay healthy. I would always recommend reading as much as you can about health. You only get one body. We want it to last as long as we can. You have situations like my copper water bottle. I soak water in here for 6 to 8 hours minimum before I start drinking it. And it's alkalized and it's mineral water. We used to have copper pipes in houses. Water sits in those copper pipes overnight. You drink it. It adds to your health. What do we have now? We have PVC. People wonder why your body's loaded with microparticles of plastic and everybody's getting cancer because plastics are toxic and your body wraps tumors around it, just like an oyster makes a pearl out of a grain of sand, or your lungs create phlegm that wrap around smoke or dust and you cough it out. Same thing with your body. It creates tumors to wrap around these toxins, and if you don't clean it out in your liver and your kidneys and your biliary gland and your lymph glands, or your skin is plugged up, you can't eliminate the toxins. So detox, learn to detox, learn to kill parasites in your body, learn about health, because you only get one body and nobody knows it as well as you do yourself. So research, read, study. That's the most important thing. Take care of your health. Learn what's going on in the environment around you, politically and environmentally. Education. Read about stuff that's going to grow your mind and give you a better life.
And then last but not least, where can people find you?
I don't want to be found.
If you want to be found, don't find them.
Well, I guess the easiest way to get a hold of me would be Facebook Messenger. I have 2 accounts, same name on both of them. One of them I keep strictly for acting, and another one is politics and religion and health. The 2 main things you're not supposed to talk about to anybody, politics and religion. Well, that's the 2 main topics I talk about, so I keep that separate from my acting life.
We talked about that quite a bit. So enjoy, folks. All right, so there you guys go. Be sure to like, subscribe, smash that bell. Be sure to comment in the video description below. Remember, sharing is caring. Subscribing is what winners do, but smashing the bell, that's what legends do. Remember, legends live on. So, till next time, folks, this is Ken. See you later. Bye.
That a Mine and Mike podcast that you like.